Hey everyone, welcome to another review. This is the Transformers masterpiece MP-43 Megatron from Beast Wars. One I've been actually looking for quite a while, because I grew up with Beast Wars and I had a Megatron when I was a kid, so you can see he still has big purple T-Rex, but he comes in this, very large box. You can see it's so big, doesn't even fit on camera. But you can see he comes in a very large box. You see the Japanese Beast Wars logo and stuff. You got the alternate Transformers thing, long life design, just like usual, all that stuff. Very nice pose, the Beast Wars eye in the back and everything. Scales instead of the usual just black. Top you have, hey look, Megatron posed, shooting. He says masterpiece on the side and all that stuff. Same on this side. He's on that side. Then you got all the warnings and what's in the box on the bottom here. And finally, you got the back, which shows a whole bunch of poses in his original render and everything and all that stuff. All these things he comes with. And yeah, and hey, look, there's Dinobot and all this stuff. Yeah, lots of stuff. All this massive box. Because he's a massive figure. Also in the box along with the figure, you got the, very large instruction sheet. This is just folded up, but yeah. You can see it's quite large. Which also has tech specs and more pictures and whatnot. It also comes with this little correction sheet, which the only correction is the text. The pictures themselves are identical. The text, though, is different from the Japanese text in the original instructions. But so it's for me completely useless because, I don't speak Japanese or read it. And it comes with a tech spec card. Or, bio card, tech spec card, whatever. The Destron leader says, because, of course, they're Destrons. Also, his tech specs, which are almost all 10s except for intelligence, which is 9, which is unusual, but sure. I think speed would be the low one, but whatever. All that stuff. I can't read most of it. Anyway, there's stuff on here. Megatron here. Megatron in his Dinosaur Mode, his T-Rex, big purple T-Rex mode, which again, doesn't really fit totally on camera. It's big. It's very large and pretty hefty, and it looks really good. It's got this, again, much like every other Beast Wars so far, it has a very specific kind of paint treatment on the Beast Mode, so it emulates kind of this TG rendering. It also got texturing in the plastic itself, like the actual texturing, like the scales and stuff, and you got this shimmering purple striped, you can kind of see the striping there on the plastic and on the green and everything on this. You can just see it's a really gorgeous, and they also got the brown, the brown stripe down the middle here. But yeah, it's just a really gorgeously done here in this mode. And you got little claws are all picked out in a nice shiny, off-white, yellowish-white plastic. And it got his red eyes and everything. And his teeth as well. It just looks really good. You can tell also that it's, covered in panels, but that's kind of to be expected for a Beast Wars masterpiece anymore. But it just looks really good, honestly, in this mode. One thing is mine just has a tendency to lean forward just a little bit. And that's how you correct it. But yeah, it's huge as well. But posability, he's got a bit here. His head, you can see this, it's goes left and right. But you can go up, look up and down. You can even twist side to side. I also accidentally did electronics. Yeah, I did also activate electronics. His mouth can open pretty wide, especially if you tilt his head up. It will open really wide if you want it to. He also has a little tongue which can go up and down. So his posability, and even his eyes. His eyes can pose a bit. Go back and forward and up and down. Even go, if you really want to emulate the original toy, you can go completely red. Which is also what you're supposed to do for robot mode as well, because of how normal it is. Only thing is these eyes can be a little tricky to get moving. Sometimes they'll just move on their own just from moving around the toy. So there's that. Arms, these little pit of the arms can move forward and back and outward. And there's a little swivel there. And that's pretty much it. That's what they can do. They can't cross forward, so they can't, scheme in his beast mode, unfortunately. That's the thing. His tail can do that. There's kind of some movement here as well, but it's kind of limited just because of the way it is. So you got a little bit of movement, but not really a whole lot, honestly. And it's mostly just wiggling. Doesn't really stay in place. Feet and legs You can click things forward and back a bit right here as well. Forward and back. Forward and back. And tilts. The hips can't really move forward and back without breaking sculpt. His toes, though, are all individually posable. They go quite far down as well. And there you go, is pretty much his posability in Dino Mode here. But he's compatible with Dinobot stand, Masterpiece Dinobot. The stand right here, that thing. He's compatible with it because he comes with a bunch of accessories. I'll get to most of them in robot mode because that's where most of them apply, but he's got this one, which he comes with 3 stand pieces. This is one of them. You just, well, slide it here. Actually clicks into place pretty well. And then you just plug it in. And you might have to adjust the stand a bit to, but there you go. Just plug it in. Simple. Real easy that. How about that? Yeah, honestly though, I've noticed for the most part, he doesn't seem to need to stand that much. And it does come on and off easily, but without, it's one of those things where it comes off and on off easily, but you don't have to worry about it coming off on its own. So, there's that. Well, it really attaches the stand pretty good. Also, just for the sake of comparison, here's his original 96 toy. Which, yeah, it's gonna... You can see a bit that... There's a bit of a height difference and whatnot. Yeah, he's quite large. So, yeah. It's an excellent dinosaur mode, and honestly, he comes in this, so it's like, yeah, here you have to transform at least once, but you have to see the dinosaur mode at least once, which is really impressive and really, actually, pretty show accurate. Just, well, panels because just again the nature of the beast, so to speak. So transforming him, there's some parts which are a little tricky, but the actual process, what you had to do is actually pretty easy to figure out. The thing is, actually, sometimes executing is can be a little bit of the difficult part. One of the first things you want to do is actually pull the head away from the body. And that right there's a bunch of tabs there, which you got to be kind of careful of. And just right here is where you want to pull away, right here along this seam. And it's kind of a tricky without, again, starting to break things. And another thing you can do to help it out with this is kind of start separating these panels a bit. Can help a little bit. But it can be a bit tricky. Often you want to, just kind of be careful, but just kind of measured, controlled force is kind of your thing here. But then after that's head separated a bit, you want to separate these panels. One of the things you want to do is actually push on it right here. You push on it and then start to separate. That will help tremendously in getting these panels separated. The only thing is, right here there's a little very tough latch, which can be a bit of a pain to get to separate entirely, even when you do it this way. Especially when you're trying to do it on a camera. There. That's separated. And right here also, you want to separate these panels. There's a tab that goes through like that. You want to separate and by just pushing outward and lifting up. And that will separate them, and that will let you move these. While you're doing so, you also might want to open those up. Makes it a little easier. This lets you to fold these down a bit without those getting in the way. I'm going to try to get as much of this on camera as possible. Just, again, be a little difficult just because, just the nature of it. It's a big dude. You also want to, okay, what was it next? All right. So from there, you can see, like, yeah, it's, again, like a lot like the original. Probably want to go ahead and get this a little out of the way right there. Here can be a little difficult. You want to, this right here, this whole section right here untabs. It's hard to see, but there's a tab here. Right there I'm pointing. That goes into the slot here. You want to separate that out. That makes it easier. And honestly, I prefer, the instructions tell you to do a different order, but I prefer to just kind of get the legs out of the way now. There's a reason for that. Just get them out of the way now. And there you go. The torso is exposed. I'm moving this down just to make you see. Now here's the part that a lot of people have trouble is this. You have to lift the torso up. And it's right here is the point you have to lift up. And people have a hard time. But it's only like the first few times it's difficult. After that, it starts coming away a little easier. But I like to get my finger in back behind here. So it's kind of supporting this. And I just start to pull. And sometimes you want to wiggle a little bit. But usually right there, you got to pull it up like that. And the first few times it can be very scary because it feels like you're going to break it. And it doesn't help that people are, talking about there's breaking, which again, get to later. Then after that, once you pull that up, you want to pull the head up. And it'll kind of, I also like to keep you turned around like that. There's also, it kind of latches in up here. The head panel will latch up here. There's also another panel right there, which I'll pull up a little bit just because otherwise it gets a little stuck on mine anyway. You want to rotate it so that his back's facing the front of the dinosaur. Fold these panels right here. You fold this one up like that. Then you fold this away like that. And from there, you rotate. There's a rotation point inside his torso. You want to rotate that and make sure this slots in behind, in his torso, like so. You slide it back, and these little rails here on this thing right here. There's little rails. They go into these little slots here. Again, a little difficult to see. Let's see if you see that these little rails will go into that slot right there. Yeah, just make sure it goes in that rail and then click it in place. Actually, again, make sure that's all the way down and then click it in place. Because you want that piece to click. Yeah, it lines up, and then again, make sure this piece is down and then click it in place. Done. Now from there, good chance you'll have done the ab crunch thing, but make sure do that. Straighten the upper legs out. Like so. Move this down a bit because we're focusing on the legs right now. Actually, don't do that part yet. What you want to do is actually take these side pieces, these hip pieces from the dinosaur. You'll want to move them out. They tab into place on the legs. You want to move them out and up and around. So you probably have to move. You might also be able to. You can't pull them off because they're designed to pull off. But you just want to do that. And while you're doing so, open that up like that. Fold this inward. Fold this piece outward like this until straight. Then close back up. Make sure it's completely closed up. And then this piece right here will move in and click into place like that. And then you can tab it in the side of the leg. There's another little tab right there that tabs in the side of the leg. That locks into place. Then you can rotate this leg or the knee around and straighten that out. Straighten the leg out everywhere and whatnot. And again, same on this side. Want to go ahead and open that panel. Untab this. Move it in. Rotate it up. Move this around. Close this up. All the way. And then click. Rotate the knee. And then rotate. And then move this back right here. Straighten the leg out. Hey, look. He's starting to take form. And of course, the other thing is, well, move his heels out. Like so. And then the other thing you want to do, this is one part that people forget, despite, the focus on this, is move this forward. Forward like that, so it's lined up. And then back here, we'll take this piece and split it and flatten it out. That's his butt. Yep. So under the torso. There we go. Now moving it up. From here, see his right arm here, it's all kind of squished together. Just move it out here and move the elbow in place. That's pretty much done. Also, you're supposed to take these eyes and make them solid red because that's how the toy was. So you can if you want, or just leave them. Those eyes right there, you can slide them. Now the tail here. The first thing you do is split that open like this. Again, much like the original. You fold this over. Be careful of the plastic here. It can be a little crazy. Make sure make sure the tip is also lined up, or also that kind of locks this tip into place so it doesn't fold like, like it does in Dinosaur Mode. Or not fold, but bend. So click that in place. And this fist here, I got it like that. I think it comes, if I recall correctly, it comes with the fist facing up, but you got to line it up properly so these can actually tab in. It's a little difficult to describe, but you just got to put it in the right position. But yeah, you pulled it out. There's a little armature here, right there. It's hard to see. You pull it out, and there's a big old tab and I guess slot there, right there. You tab it in there. Tab it in there, and then this tab will go kind of slot into here. That tab in there. And also turn the wrist around while you do this. And there, and that does it. And so a lot of people don't realize you're supposed to do it that way. And that's the arms done. Which means there's one more thing to do, and that's on the back here. The panels. So the first thing you want to do is actually rotate these little Tyrannosaur arms down around like this. So they're out of the way a bit. And then you want to take these outer panels right here, fold them down. They're on a double hinge, so you want to fold them down and around. There's a little tab here. Goes in that slot there. I'm gonna go ahead and also refocus the camera because I think camera's just having a really hard time focusing on this everything. I don't know why. Anyway, okay. So tab that, and then right here, this hinge we gotta be really careful about. You're supposed to rotate here along on this axis right here along this seam. You're supposed to rotate it inward, and there's some tabs on this panel right here. There's these tabs right here on the side. Are supposed to go in these slots, and there's multiple rotation points. You can kind of see a couple maybe stress marks here. Those were there out of the package for mine, but you want to rotate it near the hinge, not like, you don't want to grab the panel and just pull it. You want to rotate near the hinge as much as possible, because otherwise you can add undue stress. You want to kind of rotate it there, use as much force near the hinge as you can. And you got to try to line it up, rotate on both the hinges in such a way that it lines up with these slots, and it can be a bit of a pain. Once you got it rotated properly, it will just kind of gently rest in place. It doesn't like tab super securely, but rest in place. Those are more guiding tabs, if any, tabs and slots, if anything. Then up here, you want to take this this hinge up here. Take that hinge up here and rotate this down like so. Then see, there's multiple hinges here. You want to rotate that around like this, and then rotate this up right here. This kind of goes over top of the T-Rex arm. If you haven't already, make sure this is undone. And then there's a couple hinges here. You see those? You rotate it in like this. And that's one side pretty much collapsed in completely. And then you do the whole process over again on this side. Just, roll, fold and tab, fold and tab, fold and tab. Be careful of this hinge. Just be a little careful of this hinge. There. Fold this down, fold this up, rotate it along that hinge. Yeah, remember to make sure those panels go in front of the T-Rex or behind the T-Rex arms. And then once again, on these hinges rotated inward, they'll click. There's a soft click into place, and then these actually tab together right here. You can see it's a tab and slot there. You're supposed to tab these together. And voila, you got Megatron in his robot mode. It's a very large robot you can see about 3/4 of. Now he's very big. He is I think the third biggest official masterpiece that has been released so far. The only ones who are bigger are Star Saber and Ultra Magnus. Yeah, he is big, which part of the reason why it costs $300. Well, if you don't, weren't smart and didn't get it from Amazon for Japan for way cheaper. Now he's a very large figure. Just to give you an idea, here's a Masterpiece Optimus Primal next to him. You can kind of see there's a bit of a height difference there. Heck, I mean, here's the original 96 Beast Wars Megatron. Again, height difference. Very big height difference. You can see, yeah, he's big. One final thing. MP-43 Megatron. I'm just going to get these out of the way because, like, dang. He's taller than MP-43. Only a little bit, but he's still taller. So, yeah, he's not a small Transformer at all. I think people had this idea he was going to be roughly his height, and he's, well, bigger. It's just that simple. He's just plain bigger. But yeah, again, this is where a lot of the, like, shiny purples and stuff come out, from, again, it's kind of matching the CG renders. This, this is where the metallic purples and silvers. Oh yeah, the other thing I forgot, which is, I remember that thing is, click those back. This is a really easy to forget step right there. That is really easy to forget. Click those back. I even told myself, don't forget that. But yeah, you also got the weird silver, ridge. These little ridges, silver things on here, and the all that stuff. It's really gorgeous looking. Overall, you got the blacks and blues on the arms and whatnot. It just looks really good. You also got a stern purple face with red eyes and whatnot. The little Predacon symbol right there on his crest, and it's just really good looking. I feel. A couple things. QC wise, they've been kind of popping up. The lesser one, which most people aren't as upset about, but still kind of annoyed by, is his waist. A lot of people's are a little loose. Mine's a tiny bit looser than I like, but like not horribly so. Apparently there's a solution of you have to get in there when it's like apart, like you pull the torso apart a little bit. You don't have to completely tear it apart, but there's a little pin in there. You can kind of have to squeeze it down or something, and it'll help tighten this up a bit. But mine is tight enough that I'm not too worried about it. It's not like it's not like free spinning. I've seen some examples where it just spins like freely, no problem with which is alarming. The other thing is the groin here. There have been multiple reports of, yes, I know this is an awkward thing. There's been multiple reports of this cracking or being cracked out of the box. And the thing is, it uses a particular kind of plastic, got this sparkly, swirly thing going on. And sometimes there's lines in it which look like they could be cracks. Like you can kind of see one right there on mine. I'm not sure how well you can see it. There's one right there that looks like it could be cracked. That's not a crack. Some of those look like cracks, they're not. Mine, thankfully, is unbroken. But some of it, what happens is, someone took it apart, and what happened was apparently some of the screws for the hip joints here were like improperly put in. So they're put in way too tight, so they crack the plastic a bit. Thankfully, mine has not been a problem. One of the things, apparently, if yours is too tight, is the ratchets on the hips will start make the issue worse. So be aware of that if you buy this guy, because again, you're putting down multiple hundreds of dollars. That's something to be definitely aware of if you're going to do so. But yeah, it's a problem. I'm not sure if it's as big as people say it is, but it has been affected multiple people. So just be careful of it. If you notice yours is cracked out of the box, definitely return it. If it is cracked out of the box, if it isn't cracked, but or like I've seen this like straight up just split open. But if it's like if it's just maybe a small crack, you might be able to salvage it. If it has no cracks yet, just be aware of it and just watch for it occasionally. I've transformed mine multiple times now and have not had any problems. Some people also have really tight ratchets. They've had to put like shock oil in theirs to help soften them up so it doesn't crack it. Mine has been in that department relatively okay. I did which one was it? Where was it? Oh, here. You see, I have a tab. There's supposed to be 2 tabs. There's one. That one cracked off. That one, I think that cracked off the first time a transformer just went snap and it fell down, and that was it. I mean, it holds together half of it because that's basically half a tab, so it still holds together. So there is that, but it is something to also be aware of. Is be careful of the tabs and stuff on those back panels there. They can be a bit of a nightmare to deal with. Anyway, again, yeah, he looks really good, and he also poses really well too. He's got a ball jointed head, which really expressive here. Wiggle left and right, up, down. There's also a little platform here, so you can really look down. Although it looks a little bad from the side. He also raises his head a bit, so he has a bit of a neck if you want him to. His shoulders can, you can hear that. There's a ratchet there, outward, ratchet outward. There's also a swivel here as well. His elbows are kind of weird because their default is pointing outward, but they are there. He's got elbows if it will stop, collapsing on me. He's got elbows which can fully curl up. There we go. It can fully do a full curl, like so. On this side, anyway. This side, not so much, I believe, because you can only go that far. But that's thing. This can still open and close as you need it to, and it's got a. There's that. You can also use, the various head joints from the Dino mode can be used here as you want. On this hand, it's got an wrist swivel. It's also got a wrist hinge, and the thumb can move. It's got 2 points of 2 hinges right there, and the fingers. One of them is individual at this knuckle, but they all move. The lower knuckle, they all move together, and not all together, man. They all have a lower knuckle, and they all also have a second knuckle right here. These 2 fingers are fused together. These 2 fingers right here are fused together. Yeah, there's a. You can get some poses there. He's also got a waist swivel. Again, we talked about the ab crunch, a ratchety ab crunch, which goes pretty far actually. Hips, ratchet forward and back. They ratchet outward, but these kind of get in the way. If you pull them off though, which just go straight out, then you got a lot more outward. There's a thigh swivel, which has a lot of range. There's also there's a knee swivel, I guess, which is 360 degree. Ratcheting knees, which can actually suck in pretty far. It's not quite, it's a little over 90 degrees, just a little, not a whole lot, but there's quite a bit of range there. Again, he's got ankle tilts. You got ankle tilts there. His, again, toes can move forward and back, and you can also move forward a little bit. The heel can be moved, adjusted if you need it to. So, yeah, again, masterpiece grade posability. But he's also got a ton of accessories. Well, not a ton of accessories, but a decent amount. Let's see. He's got a little laser blast for the Tyrannosaur head. There's a little peg hole right there, which this pegs into, and boom. He's doing a laser blast. Doesn't light up, unfortunately, though. The head does talk, though. Also, some of those voice clips are very, very long. And I just didn't activate again. If you don't want to deal with it, you can flip this up and turn it off. Yeah, you can flip that part up. The batteries go in a little compartment right up here. There's a little screw. It takes 2 LR44s there, and then there's another 2 LR44s go in the head, which help it light up. Sure, well, you can see that. Yeah, they do light up. 4 LR44s total. Other thing is, he's got swappable faces. He's got his very happy grinning face and his very angry face, which matches, well, the toy. See that? Yep, those 2 faces. And swapping them up is pretty easy. Just, we'll take the front of the head and slide it up. I'm going to put his grinning face on. Megatron's in a good mood today. Yes, he is. And the only thing sometimes it's they don't want to slide on sometimes for some reason. I don't know why. Doesn't want to slide on. There it goes. It's a little stiff. There you go. That's the price of happiness, though, I guess. Yep. For the rest of this review, Megatron is going to be happy. And the other accessories I'd like to I want to show off another feature, which is these pieces can actually a lot of these pieces can actually come off to emulate some of the stuff he did in the show. So I'm gonna start off with the tail here. This is what you want to do. To pull it off, you want to actually, well, pull it off those multiple tabs. You want to pull it off there because otherwise it can get a little difficult. And then right here, you just, it attaches right there on the elbow. Slide it back. Slide it off. And boom, it's off. It comes off real easily, no problems there. And then you can use one of his neat accessories, a toothbrush. See that toothbrush right there? You got a tab here because there is a slot in the hand right there. Slot it in. Be a little finicky because, well, slots and tabs do that sort of thing. There you go. Yeah, and then he can, well, brush the teeth of his dinosaur head. Brush those teeth. That's something, yeah. It's one of those kind of goofy things I like they included. And the other thing is his little rifle from, I believe it was, I'm trying to remember the name of the episode, but the one where the Maximals were forced to be stuck in their beast modes and got all feral and stuff. He got his little hunting rifle with his goofy scope and everything, bone style stock. And again, that also just slots in. That's also, it's not as secure as the toothbrush. It can slip out pretty easily, but you can hold it. Here's his little double-barreled hunting shotgun thing, his elephant gun. Again, it's not secure, but it holds well enough that if you get him in a pose, it should be fine. But the other piece didn't come off. Of course, the hip things like I showed before. Just untab those and pull those off. So his back panels, they slide up off these little rails here, like that. the rails here like that. And finally, these shoulder pads. What you want to do is rotate these forward. Actually, move the arm out, rotate them forward, and they just kind of pop off because there's a little kind of a sort of a keyhole shape there. Just pop off. That's all real simple. Yeah, I have to move the arms out to the side so we can pop off, but then, boom. Another thing is I did forget this butterfly joint in the shoulder. You can see it a little bit better, so you can, move his arms forward. It can only go so far, but it's there. This is his light mode, apparently. You can't, remove that. But yeah, it's his lightweight mode. It's much stripped down compared to normal. If he wants to relax. He wants to relax in the base a bit. Brush dinosaur teeth. All that stuff. Yeah. Megatron here is, well, again, he is retails for over $300. You can get him cheaper still. If you go domestic, you can't. But yeah, Amazon, Amazon Japan, Hobbylink Japan, all those guys, I think they still might have him in stock. I'm not entirely sure. But if they do have them for sub 300. At this point, though, it's almost 300 with shipping and everything. I got mine for a little over 200 total. I think it was like $210 or something like that when mine was all said and done and shipped. But yeah, it is expensive. Masterpiece is getting more expensive. People have been noticing that. This guy, when this guy's price came out, everyone was like, "What?" And then the other thing was, yeah, Masterpiece, new Optimus, and it's expensive. I thought it was worth it for the most part. The other thing, I did forget this, and man, I am just kind of rushing through, is he's got multiple other stands. There's this one which just slots over that, and that can go. Let him use this if you want. This doesn't hold on as well as the one in Dinosaur Mode, I notice, but it does hold. That always holds. He's also got a third stand piece. Again, those hold on real well. This one. This one is unique and weird. Okay, so this one goes over like this. This one, rather than sliding on, you use this tab and whatnot, these two holes. This tab and these two holes. You gotta put that on like this. And then the odd thing is, how you put it on is unique. If you notice, that's it puts them up like this, and what this is for, if it holds, what this is ostensibly for is so you can have that one scene where Optimus Primal is like holding him up over his that scene where Optimus Primal is kind of holding him up over top of him like that, and yeah, he's coming off, but you're supposed to be able to do that. I don't trust it. That's my problem with it. I don't trust it because it's kind of loose on Megatron himself, and because of that, I'm like, don't know about this. And that's without all the extra bits. It's just, it holds on. Its hold on the Megatron is too loose for me to trust doing that pose. I apparently saw someone got that pose without the stand entirely, but again, I don't trust that stand piece really. It came off way too easily. And yeah, so I don't trust that one. It's cool it's there, so you can do that one pose, but I don't trust it. Mine, personally, I'm not sure mine might just be loose compared to everyone else's. But back to the price stuff. Yeah, it's expensive. It is. It's hard to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow. And I think it's one of those things where, yeah, he is big and he's got a lot of really nice paint work and he's very intricate. And he's got a lot of intricate engineering and whatnot. But at the same time, it is somewhere around $300. At this point, I believe it is around $300 to own him, period, regardless of whether you buy domestic or import from Japan. And I can understand why people will be like, I don't want to pay that much. And it's like, yeah, it's hard to do. If you are a huge fan of Beast Wars or the character himself, I would still actually go for it. I went for it because, again, I grew up with Beast Wars, and Megatron was just plain one of my favorite characters because of just how over the top he was. David K did a really amazing job with the character. But I can also understand why people would be adverse to buying this guy, because the price is so high comparatively to, well, any other Transformer except for the one other upcoming other one, which people are freaking out over the price on. Which, yeah, I get it. I totally get why people are adverse to this. It's not exactly it's not cheap. It's, yeah, so is he worth $300? Again, it really depends on how much you like Beast Wars Megatron. As a character, as a design, all that stuff. It's going to be a bit of a hard sell for a lot of people, and I get that. Either just because, well, they're not super attached to the character, or because they're just kind of have a hard time coughing up that much money for a single toy. Masterpiece is getting more expensive. Part of it's also the electronics as well. People are getting more. It's electronics on toys is kind of a big deal now. It's like what Japanese consumers want, and that's who Takara is selling to, not us. We're just a little bonus here in the West. And unfortunately, Japanese consumers, that's what they want. I would have gladly taken this guy like maybe $20 cheaper if without the electronics, but it is what it is. I personally thought at $200 he was worth it, if again, just because of the nostalgia I have for the show and the personal enjoyment of the character and whatnot. But if that is difficult for you to swallow, yeah, you might want to skip. It's probably not going to go down in price anytime soon. Who knows? Beast Wars is hard to gauge on whether or not it's going to sell. Well, I know like Dinobot and Cheetor and all three of the other ones have gotten reissues at some point, but no lower price at any point, except for Cheetor, really enough. Cheetor gets a reissue with a lower price, so I don't know what's going on there. But I doubt you're going to be able to get this guy for sub 200 ever, unless you buy one from another collector who's just trying to offload the thing. Yeah, so if that price really scares you, I'm not sure if that price makes you balk. I'm not sure if there's anything I can say that really convinces you otherwise. If you're on the fence and you really like the character, yes, I would say if you have the funds, absolutely go for it. It is absolutely worth, in my opinion, if you really enjoy the character. It's a collectible for sure. It's a big collectible. The only thing is, again, the QC stuff with the crotch. So be careful of that particular. If it is broken or looks like it might be stressed out, you can return it. If you think you can do it, there's also possible to repair it. People have taken theirs apart a bit. Trying to remember how they did it, but people have taken theirs apart and fixed it. Or not necessarily fixed it. There is someone out there who is designing a replacement for this. I'm not sure how well it's going to work out, but hey, there is possible hope if yours already broke. So yeah, just keep an eye out. I would say if that doesn't totally scare you off and you're willing to take the risk, yeah, I think it's worth it if you get a good one. If you get a good copy like mine, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it if you get a good copy. If you don't get a good copy, well, yeah, you're going to feel like a little ripped off, but that's kind of the thing. It's the gamble, really. Yeah, that QC issue muddies things up a bit, really. If it wasn't for that, it'd be a wholehearted recommendation, I think, for fans of Beast Wars Megatron. If you aren't a fan of the character or the design, then yeah, skip for sure. It's not worth spending $200 unless you're some crazy person who wants to have every single Masterpiece release, in which case, good luck with your financial future, I guess. But yeah, that's just what it is. Optimus, Masterpiece version 3 Optimus is honestly at my personal upper price limit, and that's only because it's Optimus, and same with this thing. I suspect at this point, the only other really expensive Beast Wars Masterpiece release is going to be Rhinox, just because Rhinox is a very large character. Every other character is much smaller than these. Like, we've gotten the 2 out of the 3 big characters out of the way in Beast Wars, and those are, Dinobot and Megatron here, at least for Season 1. Rhinox would be the other one, and he's not quite as tall, but he is a bulky dude, so he's probably going to be around $200, $250. I'm going to bet if there's Rhinox, he'll be about like $250. or so. That's might be my guess. But all the rest of the characters should be relatively small compared to those three. So this probably is going to be the top end of where Beast Wars Masterpiece hits, at least for the near future, unless they start going crazy and not going season 2 and 3 guys really got Optimal Optimus or whatever. But no idea if they're going to ever do those guys. I don't know. But yeah, this is probably the most expensive of the Beast Wars guys we're going to see, at least for a long time. But I personally felt it was worth it just because I really like the character. The only thing I wish is, well, there was English voice instead of Japanese voice for the voice, but for the sound chip, but that's not going to happen. Not unless, Hasbro seems to be not wanting to spend that money. Oh, yeah, you can do that too. You can open that, close that, but you saw that because it's folding, but yeah. That's it. I think I covered pretty much everything. I can't think of much else. At least not off the top of my head. I probably forgot something or another. There's a lot here to talk about, but again, I personally found it worth it. But just be wary of the QC issue, that particular QC issue, and only get if you really like the character or design. Otherwise, it's going to be a big money pit. I think big waste of money for you because you're just be like, oh, this is it. Or whatever, I don't know. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found informative or entertaining, whatever. I hope you like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And I'll see you next time with another video review. One that is not as long, I promise.